My name is Nick,
My name is Ryan.
and this is our CS2316 final project presentation.
So we decided to do our project on data analytics because both of us are actually pursuing a job as a data analyst. The whole point of this project was to find trends within the data analytic jobs that can help people decide if this is a career for them. But this job can also be used for other professions as well, as our code was written for if you want to search another profession, you can do that and actually search however many pages you want within Indeed.
So for our data collection process, we first started by researching the web, looking for data files that contained information regarding the characteristics or requirements for a career as a data analyst. We had some trouble at first. The government sites weren't really helping too much, but eventually we had some luck, and we decided to use Indeed as our HTML file since it's one of the largest sources for job information. For almost any job it has information on. We found a pretty good API file called jobs.github.com, and finally we found a CSV file that contained many different data analyst jobs with many corresponding attributes. So for our unclean CSV, which we exported to an Excel file to make it look a lot more presentable and cleaner just to look at, the columns are listed on the left here, and there are many columns that we did not want. For instance, the job description was very long, like paragraphs on paragraphs. So in the next slide, we'll talk about what we did with that. So for our cleaning process, we dropped our unneeded columns. There are many -1s as an integer and -1 as a string for unknown data. So we replaced all of those with unknown. We renamed certain columns to kind of better fit our data or to make it a little bit more concise. We changed formatting of multiple columns, kind of small things like to a dash sign or million to mil, billion to bill, etc. It's kind of small things like that just make our data look more concise. We removed duplicate information. For instance, job rating appeared twice, once in the job rating column and again after the column or company name. I don't know if you can see here, but so you have the job rating right here, but then the rating also appeared on the company name at the end. We weren't sure why, but we had to deal with that, so we got rid of that. We removed unneeded information. For instance, Glassdoor estimation appeared after the salary estimate for every single row. And then finally, we read the file as an Excel file because it's much easier to read. And this is what our cleaned data looks like for this file. As you can see, it's a lot more clean. We got rid of the extra ratings, dropped all the unneeded columns, and it just looks a lot more cleaner and has the information that we actually want to use.
So for our HTML file, we decided to use Indeed.com. So basically here's what we did is we searched for data analytics and actually filtered it through entry-level jobs as we can be, because this is the jobs that we're expecting to get out of college. So the process here is basically we use Beautiful Soup to extract data from the web page. We use the inspect element tool to actually view the raw code. And within the code, we actually create a for loop which searches through the desired tags as we can see in the HTML data. And we create a list of each job and all the attributes that it contains within a list itself and wrote all that data to a CSV. Here on the left is where our list of lists is that we wrote within Python, and then we moved all of that data into a CSV file on the right.
Yep, and we included the job, the headquarters, or the company where it's located in a short job description. Okay, so for our uncleaned API, this is what the data looked like once we converted it to JSON format to be readable by Python. The dictionary keys were this. This for the API, we wanted to focus more on being able to connect or look more into a certain company that you might be working for. So when we cleaned the data, we included company URL, location, and title. So we, in case you want to go to that website and check out the company. So if we created an empty dictionary, we looped through the raw data, had to make sure the data was not none because there were a lot of cases where that happened, and we would append the valuable data to the new dictionary, and then finally we returned the dictionary. Okay, so for our insights for the first one, we found the max and minimum salary and the corresponding attributes for a data analyst job. As you can see, the max salary the max salary was 194,000 and the minimum salary was 37,000. And here are the corresponding attributes for these specific jobs. And this was insightful because it gave us a good range for our possible future progression. We kind of know the max that we couldn't be making, and hopefully not, but the minimum that could happen.
So for Insight 2, the goal here was to find the top 10 jobs based on rating. We used our pandas data frame to do this, and within that we were able to create this smaller data frame with just the top 10. Here, we believe that this gives great insight on what to expect for high-level data jobs, and it gives all the attributes within the job. And we saw the trend that all these jobs were actually located in New York, which is very good information for someone looking for a high-level job. It's pretty known that it's going to be in New York.
Insight 3, it's pretty similar to Insight 1, but we found the average salary for all the jobs. We used the Excel file for this. And although it's important to know the max and the minimum salaries, it's more important to know the average because chances are you're not going to be making neither the max or the minimum. And this number is just very crucial when deciding what profession one might want to pursue because I don't know about everyone, but when I look at a certain job, one of the first things I look at is usually the salary, the average salary.
So for Insight 4, we found the most common industries. We did this by finding a count per each job for each industry. This gives great insight to which industry actually contains the most jobs. Here it says IT services being the number one, which means it has the most jobs per of all the industries that we scraped from. This is very helpful because it decides if the career is something that you want for yourself, knowing that you can expect to be in one of these probably 5 industries if for someone pursuing a career in data analytics.
For Insight 5, we used our HTML data, our clean data, and we wanted to find common skills required for a data analyst. In the 5 sections we looked at were SQL experience, Excel, statistical application, communication skills, and leadership experience. So basically what we did is you can parse through n amount of pages to get results of this HTML data. So for example, I'm pretty sure this was for 20 pages on Indeed. And it had a total of 300 jobs. And out of all those jobs, these were the keywords that we found. We had a count, we added it up, and these are what they require. This is good because if it shows you what you need to possibly work on. It could show if you already have a strength in this or a weakness, and could show if this is something you want to do in the future.
So for our first visual, we decided to do a bar graph. We chose to show the number of jobs per each rating. As you can see, a rating of 3 is the average here. But it's also good to note that there's a lot of 4s and 5s as well compared to the smaller side. This is good because you can expect to get a high-rated job for a data analyst. Second visual here, we did a pie chart. The whole point of this was to show proportions of each job per each state. This gives great insight into which state has the most job availability. As you can see that California actually has the most jobs, just being under 25%. But this is great for someone pursuing a job because they know that they can expect to see most availability in the states with the biggest proportion.
And finally, we did a scatter plot trying to find the correlation between salary and rating. So at first look, you probably think, well, there is no correlation. Well, one of the things we were trying to do is see if there actually was a correlation between the two. We wanted to see if a higher rated job is because of a higher salary. And kind of to our relief, or kind of something that we were excited about, is that it doesn't seem to be the case that there is a correlation. So high salaries are also rated low, low are also rated high. So it kind of shows that salary isn't the front-running force driving this rating, and other jobs are still pretty good even if they're not paid as much as others. And for the summary file, we were using our Excel file. And first we grouped it by state. We got all the job locations and we condensed them down into each state rather than each specific location in each state. And then we applied an aggregate to the average salary and average job rating. So we have all the states listed where there's data analytics jobs, the average salary in each state listed here, and the average rating for each state for each job. So that was kind of a good way to wrap up our information. We thought it kind of shows 2 pretty important attributes to our data.
So overall, the whole point of this project was to find helpful data on data analysts that can actually help people make a decision about their future career. Each insight that we decided to do gives a realistic representation of expectations within this profession that can be used to make that decision. Within the data cleaning processes, specifically the HTML parsing allows someone to repeat this, meaning that you can actually do this project on a different job and through Indeed, but you can also do it with any job you want and however many pages you want to. It's a lot of user input, and it's a great source for finding which job you want to do, and it gives you all the aspects of what you want, and you can clearly see if this is the job for you.
All right, that's the end. Thank you guys for watching. I've had a great time in this class so far. Had a great year. Yeah,
Thank you.
thank you.
All right.
There it is.